Well, Jim, we still got that same GM vehicle, late model, and now I've got a problem with it at idle. At idle, it seems to want to die on me once in a while, and also I've got that same periodic check engine light that's came back. What do you think?
Well, since you have a check engine light, you're going to have to pull the codes. Which
I've done, and when I did pull the codes, I came up with a code 34. When I went to the manual, code 34 told me MAF sensor. MAF stands for mass airflow sensor, and they're located in a readily accessible spot underneath the hood, right in the air cleaner housing. How's our 2-minute test?
Well, we do have a 2-minute test for the mass airflow sensor, and if you'd like to take and hold this and help me show everyone how it's connected up. This is our universal tester. Now, the first thing you'll notice is we don't have the 9-volt battery on here.
Okay.
I have it connected to a transformer which will supply us with 12 volts for our testing purposes. We could have hooked it to a car battery with the car battery jumper, but this was a little bit handier for our purposes today. The point to remember is that mass airflow sensors are not 9-volt devices, they're 12-volt devices, so don't use your 9-volt battery to try to run these things. That won't work.
Okay, how about our connections?
Well, the connections are, there's 3 terminals. The one over here on the left is positive, so that's where I've got the red one connected.
Okay.
The one way over on the right is negative, so that's ground. That's where the black one goes. And the center terminal is where the pulses come out of. So to that terminal, I have connected the clip for the LED and the clip for this meter, which we're going to put on the RPM scale.
Okay, 4-cylinder scale.
Right, the 4-cylinder scale. We need the tachometer to measure this because these produce a frequency. And the frequency can be measured with a tachometer for our purposes, and the 4-cylinder scale is the most accurate scale for this. Now, I'll hold this and call your attention to the lamp. It should be flickering right now.
It is.
Now, that flickering lamp shows us that this is producing a frequency or pulses, and at the same time we should be able to read them on the meter.
Yep, and we can.
Now, to test this, all I have to do is blow through it because this measures airflow. And of course, when I blow through it, I will increase the airflow, which should cause the lamp rate to increase, and you should get a different reading on the meter.
Okay.
So let's do it a couple of times. Let's watch the meter first as I blow through here.
All right. Way up. 165 counts, and now she's going back down to where it was originally.
Okay, let's watch the lamp.
Yep, the lamp speeds up so much that it actually almost looks like a dim lamp. Now it's back to its flickering.
Right, that high speed. In fact, it almost looks like it's on all the time, doesn't it? Because the frequency is so high and the lamp rate is so high. Now, at this point in time, you might think that this is a good part. But one of the things that mass airflow sensors have a habit of doing is coming apart inside, especially in the electronics portion of it.
Sure.
So if you'll take an object such as a screwdriver and tap on that, we should be able to see a change in the output if it's loose, if it's defective. Now, you can't do that with the lamp. You must do that with the meter.
Okay.
So observe the meter while I give it a tap.
Ooh, way up. Way down and way
down.
up.
So it's going to be varying all the time. The reason why this was running when we started the segment was to get it good and warm. If you suspect an intermittent problem with your mass airflow sensor, hook up your tools like we've done here and set it on the counter or just leave it on the car for 10 or 15 minutes. Get it good and warm and then make your test, and you'll find a bad one if it is bad, just as you and I have done now. Okay,
and this could cause our problem with the engine stalling at idle as well as our intermittent check engine light.
That's right.
Now, there's 2 styles of these, correct?
It sure is. This one is a 3-terminal, and as soon as I get everything disconnected, perhaps we can show that there are actually 3 terminals in here, and that's where we had the tools connected a few moments ago.
Okay.
Now, the one I'm bringing up alongside is a 5-terminal, and you can see we've got a different type of connector on there, so we can get into all 5 terminals.
Okay.
So what we'll do then is connect our universal tester into the lead, and that will power the mass airflow sensor, and then hook up the tachometer to the output, and we should be getting a reading.
We are getting a reading.
And the light should be flickering.
And our light is flickering.
Okay, now, all I have to do is, again, blow through the device, and we'll see if it works. We'll check the gauge first, I guess.
All right. Gauge goes way up. 196 counts, back down.
And how about the light?
Yep, same thing with the light. Now the light is actually going to almost a full steady beam, so that's showing us our frequency change.
Right. And then, of course, if we were to tap on the thing, it should be fairly steady instead of jumping all over the place like it did the last time.
Yep, no change at all.
Okay, great. So now we know we've got a good one. Now, since this is a good one, though, it's not the type of problem that you're having. So if you test your mass airflow sensor and find it to pass the test, you're going to have to go into your diagnostic troubleshooting chart and follow the directions here to arrive at either a bad wiring harness or an electrical connection, maybe even a bad computer.
Okay, but we can do these same tests right on the vehicles. We've got one sitting over there. We'll disconnect our equipment. We'll meet you right over at the car. Okay, now we're over at the vehicle, and Jim, why don't we explain to them how we've hooked the meter and our tester up?
Well, this particular mass airflow sensor is a 3-terminal sensor, so we're going to have to use our universal lead again. It's even marked. We don't have to look this one up in the book. It says A, B, and C, plus, minus, and A, it will be frequency. Now, all we have to do is connect the red lead of our tester to C, because it says plus, that's power.
Sure.
We connect the black lead of the tester to B, because it's got the negative mark there, that's ground. And on the A terminal, where the pulses will come out of, we'll connect our tachometer lead, the red one. And now the other end of the tachometer, the black one, we must ground somewhere. So you could use an engine ground. I like to use the back terminal on the universal tester, because that is the negative terminal when it's connected to a battery. And by the way, the battery we have it connected to is the car's battery. We're using the 12-volt adapter here because this is a 12-volt device.
Sure.
Now, the green lead will be connected to the tach lead because we want to measure those pulses, and it also powers the whole tester up. See, our light just came on when I made that connection.
Sure.
Now, let me just mention this white lead. This is a positive or a hot lead, and I've got it clipped out of the way here so it doesn't bounce on the engine somewhere and perhaps arc and cause a problem. So just get that one clipped out of the way.
Good idea. Then we'll take our tachometer and we'll put that on the 4-cylinder scale. And as you can see, we're not getting any reading with the vehicle. The engine not running, no air going through it. And our light, if you can hold that over here a little bit, Jim, our light is just steady right now. So
that's right. That's very common on really late model mass airflow sensors because they don't produce any reading at all until air is actually blowing across it. So if I go start the engine now, we should be able to get that type of a reading.
Okay, let's try it. Getting much of a reading here, so I'm just going to flip her down to another scale, and sure. Okay, I just took it down to the 8-cylinder scale. So if you don't get a reading on your vehicle when it's on the 4-cylinder scale, just flip it down to another scale until you do get your reading.
Right, that'll be common with late model vehicles also. So just use your tachometer, get it onto a scale that gives you some sort of an indication. Now, I'll rev up the engine a little bit, and we'll see if we get any kind of a response.